help welcome Dr. Bennett.
So I'm going to take you back to, what was this? This was 2010, my senior year at Penn. I did not realize you had to take a science class to graduate from college. So anyone in here who's college-aged or about to go to college, pay attention to your major advisor. They tend to drop gems like that along your four-year journey. And so I did not realize this. And I thought at the last minute, let me go to the registrar's office, let me look through the books and see what I can take. Decided on oceanography. Didn't have the most rigorous process for deciding on oceanography. I thought to myself, I grew up in the church, Jonah, Noah, those are my guys. Moby Dick's my favorite novel. I know something about the ocean. Oceanography has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's largely about the angle at which light hits water, the various forms of life that live in the deep sea, etc. Right? So I don't remember much about the lectures, also because I was on tour in college, which is a good way to make money, but not the greatest way to do well in a science class if you haven't taken science in like 4 years. But something that does stick out to me even still was the day my professor said, a blue whale has a heart the size of a car. Right? So if you're a teacher, it's not the most helpful metaphor. Humvee, Prius, very different species of car, different gas mileage, right? But what stuck with me was the idea that one day I'd want to give someone a love that big. Yeah. So I went home, and I wrote this poem. Its title is Balaenoptera. That is the genus specification of the blue whale. You can look it up during Q&A if you don't believe me. Balaenoptera. And you can make noise if you like it too, or say, hey man, Josh, crushing it. What do you put in your beard? It's coconut and hibiscus, in case you're wondering. Balaenoptera. When we're older, hair the color of tombstones, bones that sound like wet windshield wipers whenever we slow dance through the living room, I imagine I will look you in the eye, as if there is something small and precious imprisoned there, and say to you, darling, did you know that a blue whale has a heart the size of a car? When you reply correctly, as you always seem to do when I ask you difficult questions about oceanography, I'll probably just laugh, rejoicing over the fact that every time you smile, it makes the wrinkles at the corner of your eyes look like 6 willow branches, all lifting their heads from prayer in unison, the wind humming a somber hymn beneath its breath, just as our anthem jogs to a close, and I whisper in your ear, how did you know that I was the one? When all of those well-dressed jackals came galloping to your door, begging for the rights to your ring finger, what made you lock the deadbolt on your ribs, looking them squarely in the face and saying with joy, I am keeping all of this beauty for someone I have ever even met? Did you ever doubt, ever sit in your dorm room and think that maybe your soulmate had chosen someone a lot more boring, but a lot less picky than you, and opted for the easier way out of a life filled with love when I was 22 years old? Beard freshly grown, an ocean away from my family with the kind of pain that drives people to do selfish, barely forgivable things. I dreamt of you nightly, hunted for your smile in every audience that I broke for, hoping that I could literally steal a glance, downloaded onto my retinas and replay the moment our eyes first played freeze tag, and neither one of us wanted to stop being it, so we just kept on touching, hoping that Father Time would give us a hall pass and allow us to orbit one another forever. And speaking of orbits, did you know that there are more stars in the sky than grains of sand on the entire planet, and that I would give you either one if you merely asked? Peel the night from the sky's skin like the rind of an orange, or ask God if I could borrow the breeze for just a moment and blow the shoreline of every beach into a giant hourglass made just for us and say this is how long I will adore the things about you that no one else even notices, like your laugh and how it sounds like a mix of Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock and 2 rainstorms singing perfectly in tune, those orthopedic shoes and how they always match your cardigans perfectly, those crooked glasses, and how they dangle at the edge of your nose like the legs of 2 lovers on a tire swing, the last summer they will ever see each other's face. The first time I saw your face, I thought, wow. There were a gorgeous Olympics, you would be a lock, and maybe I would be your key, and maybe love is a club that we both got into for free. We just haven't stopped dancing for all these decades because we really like the music in here. And maybe, if you asked me to, I would crawl through the vein of a blue whale on my hands and knees, photograph that Volkswagen-sized heart of hers, and place the picture underneath your pillow before you went to sleep. When you ask me about it, I'll probably just laugh, giggling like I've got a handful of diamonds in my throat, and say, see? I told you, the biggest heartbeat God ever made. And now it's all yours.